So there's this interesting video I came across. Why do people get functional neurological disorders? When you see a man like this, you know, in his late 40s, 50s, whatnot, and he's sitting down on a topic when it comes to neurological or doctorate kind of topic, he's just being good stuff. So, and I'm verifying that this is very interesting as well, especially for neurological disorders. And it's stress based. So even if you don't have it, you guys can still, if you guys have severe stress, anxiety, and and you're eating the emotion. You're eating the emotion. You're not eating the emotion. You're just like creating a lot of tension with it. I know you guys seen these topics around. This can also happen to you, and if it doesn't happen to you, it can also you need to understand how important these emotions and this anxiety and distress is to consider. Because if it can lead to something as severe as you know stop functioning parts of your body, start muscle spasms. He was even mentioning some tremors occur. So you guys need to realize that's how the brain is. And I hope you do, but you guys really need to put it on a pedestal because whether you do get a disorder or not, if if it's putting that much tension on the fucking brain, what other small things that wouldn't be classed as a whole movement disorder mean? Your severe anxiety could literally, if it doesn't show up in your movement disorders or physically, it could probably change the pathway or play about with your whole entire fucking life and all your decisions. Let's play a bit of this. I'm gonna keep this video short but quality. But guys, let's see what's up. Let's see what he says. I'm gonna skip it a little bit.
I think the explanation of why people get functional neurological disorders is extremely important for patients. And I think this is something that is often not recognised by the medical profession.
It's not recognized.
One of the problems is that there isn't a standard explanation for why these symptoms come about. You won't find such an explanation easily on the internet, apart from on this website, and you won't find it in any standard textbook. So a lot of doctors simply don't know why the symptoms come about. I think the model we work on in this institution is a model. It is not necessarily the truth, but it is an explanation that seems to be plausible, that it seems to be generally acceptable to patients, and which fits the observations that we have. So we adopt it because it is useful. It may have to evolve with time. So the model we have of the generation of these functional symptoms is that you have to consider the brain has two parts. There's the rational part of the brain that you do your thinking with, and you do your decision making with, and then there's an emotional bit. The emotional bit is perhaps a bit more difficult to understand, but I think of the emotional part of the brain as the bit that is responsible for looking after all the automatic functions that your brain does without you having to think very hard about it. And these include not only the emotions of love, fear, hate, anxiety, that sort of thing, but also looking after things like the automatic movements that we do. For example, when you drive a car, you don't think carefully about the individual movements required to turn left or turn right. It's all
You don't think about individual movements, turn left or turn right, but based off your emotional sector of the brain, how how it's balancing or not, whether you have fear, anxiety, or you're just super stressed or tense, that will that will make an effect on this neurological um on its neurological output, its function, you know, from movement to decisions in your brain. Even though who even knows if you go this deep with neuroscience, could it even impact your mathematical thinking? Could it impact your decision based making? Who knows? But if someone finds another good gem video like mine, I'm just trying to brief it out a bit where it's like, especially for your Gen Z in this day and age, how critical it is, especially in your own lifestyle, your own environment, take care of your emotional standards, not just how 10 years ago now that we're in 2026, you need to take care of it and express it and comfort your emotional um part of you and your brain on a top tier with pillows and everything that it needs and prioritization as it means. from nutrients all the way to social things. If you're tired one day, don't fucking go out, because that it may cause in a stressful way or an anxious way or whatever. Small thing like this. If you've got a networking meeting that you feel like you do need to go to, if you do have the option to postpone it, and um, if you're trying to, I'm just giving you, life examples for different people in London, and it's very important to put these things best. So if you can do it, and really, really, really make can do's for it, hopefully workplace becomes better. This is what I'm about. And part of me is because I suffer from a neurological functional disorder based off the face in the jaw area. And this isn't a science chat. I'm not going to go deep into it, but I've had so much stress and anxiety when I was young, unbelievable amounts. Surprise, surprise. Beginning of my 20s, it's like 2020, 21. Started developing a thing, and then it just stabilized, and then yeah, now it's there forever. And when I'm stressed and anxious, it still comes up. And now it's like I'm just trying to deflate. I'm trying to deflate a balloon that's already punctured, and it's like so. I want to keep this clear. Um, whatever you, your output is, anxiety, stress, emotions, you gotta feel it. You gotta prioritize it. You gotta lessen it. And of course, many factors due to that, as we all know, can happen from inside and outside, and from diet as well. Really, just tricyclic, hit every point. And even if you're telling me you can't do anything, if you hit a bit of every point, there's gonna be a bit of tricyclic factor coming back into your own life.
To make it for
Guys,
you.
keep at it,
And
man.
we all know that people who've lived through particularly difficult
And
circumstances,
also
for example,
fuck the illusion that you think sometimes it's a big illusion that you think, no, you can't do this, you can't, whether it's work or family or friends, no, you can't do this. Get rid of that illusion. Yes, you can. Logically, you can do a little bit of something, even if it's make something long term to prioritize your emotion over, over a few months or whatnot. Get rid of that illusion that you can't. Get rid of the delusion of you being caught up in your own fucking shit and not prioritizing the pinnacle of your brain that fucking help that prioritizes your function. That you're you probably function even 10 times better, but the thing prioritize the thing that's functioning your whole neurological function down to your actions in life and your movement of your body, your blood flow, whatnot. Any super doctors, if I'm getting slight bits wrong, being very careful with my wording, I'm not a doctor, but I'm getting slight stuff. Like I wasn't too sure about the blood thing, but it could be right. Hearts and blood, hearts and muscle, it could pump more. So I mean, could pump better smoothly. So please feel free to correct me, give me knowledge. I would love that.
living in a war zone, will come out of that
If you're a high
very
stress
tough
environment, like
emotionally.
this thing,
They will sometimes appear to be quite emotionless for a while, and they certainly find that the normal stresses of everyday life are hardly noticeable to them. So it's an adaptive response to those high levels of stress. The problem is that when you cease to be in those very high stress situations, the emotions start to return. And it's at that point when people can start running into difficulties, because the emotional part of the brain really doesn't like being ignored. And if it detects that you're in a high stress situation and you're not really feeling it, you can't communicate that to the emotional bit of the brain, to the rational bit of the brain, characteristically the emotional part of the brain will start to interfere with the way the rational bit works. And it does that in very characteristic ways. It interferes with the way that sensations from the body are filtered by the nervous system. So sitting there, your brain is constantly being bombarded by sensations from many millions of sense organs in your body. From the muscles, from the bones, from the joints, from the skin, from the eyes and ears. All this is bombarding the brain with sensory information. And most of it is noise, and people are very good at shutting out what is not important so they can concentrate on what is important. In these circumstances, the emotional part of the brain can fiddle with that filtering process. You can either turn up the gain so that sensations get through to consciousness which shouldn't, which should normally be filtered out, or sometimes it goes the other way and turns down the
It sounds
gain
like he's
so
onto
that
like
you
some
can't really
psychosis as
feel
well.
what should be
Last
there.
sentence
And
he
that
said.
correlated with that is either feeling things that aren't really there, or feeling pain more
Psychosis. Hang on a
intensely than it
second,
is,
man.
or sometimes losing
Explain this
sensation in
physical.
part of your body. The other
Psychosis
thing that the emotional
is
part of the
another
brain can
mass wave
do
of
is
psychosis
interfere
nowadays.
with the link
As you
between
may know,
willing movement,
so
that is
online.
deciding you want to move, and executing movement. Uh, if you find that difficult to
That's what I'm
understand, I
doing
usually
now.
use the simile of, say, wanting to do a bungee jump. There are some
So it's hard to do it. What he's about to say is based on your function. So let me expand myself a bit. Based on the function, so you might be hard to do things, or maybe your muscles are moving, and he made a list. I don't need to repeat. And then he's also part of it describing psychosis. He didn't really say it, but he's saying, "Oh, think he gave a bit of hence clues," and that also is a big factor. We know that there's a whole wave of like mass psychosis, even amongst sober people as well, from all this, um, bombardment of media, brain war. Even the mainstream media is fucking brain war itself, and it's just people losing their minds sober, and even drug induced is bad as well. So let's say psychosis, right? A lot of it can also stem from, it can be reduced from this emotional treatment, a lot of blessing yourself. So I really want to stem my channel to, I don't know, I'm gonna make videos about this here and there. Feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll drop some awesome stuff about it. I want to keep it short, so I don't talk, this is so interesting. I love to, yeah, but I'm gonna end it here. But yeah, peace and love, guys, and please, vroom, just like take it easy, take care of your feelings, emotions, and yeah, man, love yourself for sure. Feel it. Don't just, with me, I've just ignored, pushed, like hardened up so much emotion over years. Kind of just been like the most tough, toughest out of my group, whatnot, especially emotionally and hard. And even me now, bro, I have tension and neurological dysfunction, which I don't need to get into. But my main topic of this is just to feel your emotions, breathe your emotions, express it with friends or not, and with yourself. And then also do moving stuff. And yeah, guys, Gen Z, man, you gotta prioritize this kind of stuff. Too much going on. Alright, guys, I'm talking too much. Peace and love.